Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session. My name is Alyssa Vine. I'm the University Director of Credit for Prior Learning at the City University of New York, also known as CUNY. Our presentation today, Bringing Credit for Prior Learning to Life, the Importance of Faculty, is an opportunity for me from CUNY's system office, along with two colleagues from CUNY colleges, to share some of the ways that we are engaging faculty in our Credit for Prior Learning work. I'd like to introduce my two colleagues or have them introduce themselves. Elisa, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elisa Cooper, and I'm the Credit for Prior Learning Coordinator at Lehman College.
Marcia, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcia Oropeza. I'm the Director for the Office of Credit for Prior Learning here at LaGuardia Community College.
All right, thank you both. In today's session, we're hoping that participants will learn a little bit about CUNY and how Credit for Prior Learning works at our university. And then we'll hear about some of the ways that both Lehman College and LaGuardia Community College are specifically working to engage faculty in this part of their college's offerings. And I'll also share a few ways that CUNY is working to bring faculty into our work at the system level. First, a little bit about CUNY. So CUNY is the public university of the city of New York. We have about 25 colleges across the 5 boroughs, serving almost 250,000 of degree-seeking students, as well as another 200,000 continuing ed students. Our Credit for Prior Learning policy was put in place in June of 2020. It was passed by the Board of Trustees and established some consistent ways that CUNY colleges would be encouraged to award credit for learning that takes place outside of the college classroom. Some elements of our policy that I think are important and interesting to be aware of include that our policy really points to faculty as the people who are really in charge of deciding how different kinds of learning experiences are aligned with their courses and determining the appropriate course equivalencies and credit awards for those learning experiences. CPL credit at CUNY can be awarded for major courses as well as general education requirements and also departmental electives. Colleges are allowed to award elective credit, like general elective credit, but it should be a last resort because we really want CPL at CUNY to be a way that that students are earning credit that can actually really help their progress toward degree completion. CUNY's policy also protects students in transfer. We have a lot of students that move around among the institutions across CUNY. And when students transfer between CUNY College, CPL credits transfer the same way as if they took the course that they're receiving the credit for at that college. So CPL credits are not subject to reevaluation by receiving colleges in the transfer process. And finally, CPL credits do not fulfill residency requirements at CUNY colleges. So those are just some important components to be aware of. Our policy is really designed to award credit for college level learning. It aims to ensure equal treatment in the way that CPL is applied to degree programs at any given college. And it's really based on national norms, standards, and methodologies. The type of credit for prior learning that are specifically named in CUNY's policy include standardized exams. That's the one that's really mandatory. All CUNY colleges must award credit for about 6 standardized exam programs. Any student that presents a qualifying score on one of those exams is eligible for credit. The college at the academic department level decides what a given exam actually equals in terms of a specific course and credit award. Our policy also encompasses non-collegiate coursework. So this can be different kinds of professional licenses, certifications, trainings, military trainings, all of that type of learning is included in CUNY's policy. Colleges are able to use ACE credit recommendations and NCCRS to determine appropriate credit awards and equivalencies, and also they have the ability to do their own evaluation at the academic department level as well. Our policy also encourages colleges to consider the use of portfolio assessment and challenge exams as other mechanisms for awarding credit for prior learning. At the crux of CUNY's policy is the fact that faculty are the ones who determine what is college level learning and how learning experiences align with coursework. I'm going to show a video that my office has created that we are using to try and help explain to faculty the ways that their participation in these processes is so important.
New York City is full of hardworking people whose jobs require technical skills and competencies that are deeply relevant to college-level courses.
For many of these people who haven't completed or attended college, the journey to a degree can feel overwhelming, expensive, and uncertain.
But because we know learning happens everywhere, credit for prior learning at the City University of New York gives eligible students the ability to earn academic credits for knowledge and skills gained outside the classroom.
National data shows that students receiving CPL credit are more likely to persist and graduate, with even greater benefits for those from underrepresented backgrounds.
CPL helps students meet academic requirements, boost their confidence, and save time and money on their path to earning a degree.
But CPL relies heavily on the involvement of faculty, who can verify the integrity and rigor of learning experiences.
It is the faculty who must decide how different types of learning, such as on-the-job training, professional certifications, and specialized skills, align with their department's curriculum.
But here's the thing.
Without the leadership and participation of faculty, all of the benefits of access, equity, and opportunity that CPL offers disappear.
Countless potential students possess the knowledge and skills to enrich the college community, and recognizing these abilities can be key in their decision to choose CUNY.
This academic year, begin integrating CPL into your department's strategy for recruiting, welcoming, and supporting the success of students.
Learn more, get involved, and join CUNY in empowering more New Yorkers to achieve their goals.
Okay, so with that, we will move on to hear about how this is actually working in practice at
New York
at two CUNY colleges. We'll start by hearing from Marcia at LaGuardia Community College.
Thank you, Alyssa. I just wanted to start by talking about how we engage faculty at the LaGuardia Community College. And I wanted to start by giving an overview of what CPL looks like at LaGuardia. Well, first, just to describe, we are one of the 7 community college in the system. Our total enrollment is 24,000. Credit enrollment is around close to 14,000, and our non-credit enrollment is around 10,000. Our students come from 136 different countries and speak 43 different languages. And then just to give you an overview of CPL at LaGuardia, there is a history of CPL at LaGuardia. Prior to the creation of the office, it was pioneered by 2 faculty in our business and administration department. They were pretty much, based on their interests, they were able to provide that service to students. If there was, a student who needed evaluation for a credential or military training. But the other part being that we're in academic affairs, we have a culture of collaboration between our division in academic affairs and adult and continuing education, where we have established ACE to credit articulation. So a lot of that work has been occurring between those divisions that pretty much we use as a groundwork to establish some of the processes that we'll talk about in a little bit. And then with the advent of the, CUNY policy in 2020, which Alyssa outlined previously, served as a catalyst in order to move credit for prior learning forward in a more formalized way. And at around the same time, we were awarded a $1 million grant from the Robin Hood Foundation in 2022, which also we kind of extended our collaboration between academic affairs and adult and continuing education. And based on that grant, we were able to create the Credits for Success initiative. Leveraging the CUNY's credit for prior learning policies, we were able to pioneer a college completion and workforce development equity agenda. So the goal was to establish a network of guided pathways that incorporate ACE to credit pipelines for New Yorkers who have some college or have accumulated some educational debt, to create a groundwork for providing CPL in a more intentional, organized manner at the college, where we were able to engage students who are trying to come back to college to finish their degrees. So just to give you a sense, when we created the office, it was very important in terms of how faculty view College for Credit for Prior Learning, that we were housed in academic affairs. It gives this academic process, which it is, very much high prominence to understand that, we're here as an office to support that academic process. So based on the organizational chart, you have that we directly report to our, VP of Academic Affairs, our provost. Within that, the person I report to is the associate provost. And then I supervise 2 staff. One is an admissions coordinator who handles all of our student inquiries, vetting of the process in terms of what a student credential they may bring. An outreach specialist, that is the person who goes out and promotes credit for prior learning within our college community, and as well in outside our community in terms of community events and our community-based organizations. Now, the dotted line to that to the outreach specialist is a person, who's a career development center in our adult continuing education, because we have a strong collaboration. With their assistance, they're able to identify alumni who have completed workforce certificate programs and who have ACE to credit, MOUs, where we can directly recruit from that pipeline in order for them to convert those credits that are already in the bank to the credit side. Now, the faculty coordinator in this process does not directly report to us because it is a faculty process. So that way, we preserve the integrity of the process because faculty are the ones who are the subject matter experts. It was something that already had existed, and what we did with the creation of the office is support that process by being able to funnel documentation, credentials, meeting with students to see, to clarify what exactly they're trying to get evaluated or assessed. So just to kind of highlight the role of faculty. Faculty serve, like I said before, subject matter experts who validate learning and determine credit equivalencies. That's the main role. The faculty coordinator, the role of that person is to evaluate a credential where there is not an existing credit equivalency to determine if there is merit for academic department review. So the faculty coordinator then will work with the academic department to validate the learning and determine credit equivalency. They pretty much serve as a liaison between the office and the academic departments. As a person who's there to be a resource, a person who's there to kind of then do the research. So then when they're approaching the academic departments, they're able to come with them with, substantial, amount of documentation and evidence of, of any merit of if a credential is going to be awarded college level learning. Okay, then we're going to move on to the next slide. Just to describe where the faculty fit into this process, we had to create, as part of our, in operationalizing credit for prior learning at LaGuardia, we created a CPL process where how and when students will be evaluated for learning. So we, as part of establishing the office, created an inquiry form that lives on our webpage, as also within the student learning management systems that the students engage in, where they can submit an inquiry if they feel that they have want a credential evaluated or have something that they had a question around credit for prior learning. So it happens in 2 ways. So the student is submitting, obviously, pre-evaluated learning. Those are our standardized exams, MOUs. Those are things that are pre-evaluated are already either in the system, as far as standardized exams, which lives in our Transfer Explorer tool. And then we have those internal memorandums of understanding that have been established between our academic affairs and adult and continuing education. So once a student submits an inquiry, The admissions coordinator then applies the test credit and course to the transcript because it's something that's already been predetermined. There's no evaluation have to be placed. Student is then notified and referred for advisement, and then we close the inquiry. That is the quickest way the student's going to get awarded credit for prior learning. Now, on the other hand, if there's something that a credential the student brings in that needs evaluation or assessment, the inquiry will then have to go from the admissions coordinator, then to refer to the actual CPL faculty coordinator. So it goes from, comes into our office. If it's a credential that we haven't seen and we're looking to assess, it goes to the faculty coordinator. And then the faculty coordinator works with the academic departments to determine the equivalency. And if the equivalency is then established, the CPL office will work with the registrar to create the role on CUNY first. And then the CPL admissions coordinator applies the test course to the student transcript, and then the inquiry is closed. But it's just to show you how that particular, when we're looking at evaluated learning, how crucial the faculty coordinator and that role is in that process, because we are not able to award a credit unless the, faculty determine that there's merit there. Based on the overview that I provided in terms of how our office operates, where it's, organized in terms of academic affairs, now I wanted to focus on the engagement of faculty at LaGuardia. Because now that we have the office and we have this role of faculty coordinator, one of the things that we had to work on is expanding the culture of CPL. Because even though it was regulated to 2 faculty before, and now we have the policy, and now we're trying to make sure that faculty and everyone on the campus knows the value of what credit for prior learning is for students and for the college community as a whole. So some of the things that we've done to expand the culture in terms of, promoting CPL, talking about the myths around CPL. We've gone to academic chairs meetings. So that's a meeting that happens on a monthly basis. We've come in and presented to our academic chairs around the credit for prior learning and the process that is attached to our office. We've also gone to academic program directors meetings that also meets once a semester. And those are really the folks in the department who are really making those credit determinations, because they're the ones who are in charge of their particular programs and their curriculum. So it was a very important audience for us to present at, and we were able to also connect to them. Also, we did a larger faculty meeting, which is called our instructional staff meetings, which happens once a semester, where we have all faculty and we do a general overview of CPL and to promote that as well. And then obviously, we do more of a boutique style kind of workshop with them for the academic departments, because every academic departments may have individual programs into specific needs. And then one type of CPL may be more appropriate than others. So we tend to work with them also individually to kind of address specific questions around their particular curriculum or particular degree program, and how we can find some kind of alignment. The other way that we're engaging faculty at LaGuardia is offering professional development opportunities. With partnership with CUNY Central, we have conducted 2 cohorts of the KL Assessing Prior Learning workshops, and that comprised of 15 faculty from LaGuardia and 15 faculty across CUNY. And then also the work that we're doing, also with doing university-wide collaborations. We did work around 1199 pilot with healthcare credentials, and also just more recently the seal of biliteracy with our education and language acquisition department. The other way that we're engaging faculty is by expanding or the expansion of CPL opportunities for students. So I feel that based on the fact that we've had a culture of collaboration from working with our ACE to credit articulations, faculty do really see a value in creating social and economic equity for students through CPL. So what we're doing more recently is that we're trying to collaborate. We're doing collaborations with industry partners and CBOs by leveraging existing articulation to credit agreements as a foundation. So because that work's already been done, it's easier then to approach a CBO with often similar credentials, say, hey, do you want to expand this pipeline? Here's an opportunity to bring X amount of students from this particular area that can go into your degree program. So they're realizing it's not only it's a mechanism for awarding credit, but it's also a mechanism for potential recruitment. Right. So there's as time is going on and we're seeing more of agreements, I feel like that's what's happening on our campus. And then, like I said before, it's having that TPL in their toolkit as a way of recognizing learning and awarding credit for students. I've seen it, individually with program directors trying to make, have an experience that a student may have and may not directly apply to their degree program, but can fulfill like an internship or an experiential learning component that's part of their degree. So we've seen individual cases where we've done that and faculty utilize CPL and ask us if that's something that we can do, and as well as doing on a larger scale and connecting existing articulation agreements to CBOs. Okay, and the next slide. So here's are just some examples of the CPL faculty work that we have done. So just to give you some examples of pipelines and academic partnerships, particularly with our criminal justice. Criminal justice is something that's been, growing in terms of pipelines, because we have, 2 potential pipelines, one with a justice impacted population. So one of those is called College Way, and that's at Rikers Island, and that's 3 credits in the first year seminar for criminal justice. So they offer pretty much the same exact course. The only difference is that it's being taught at Rikers. And of those folks that come out of Rikers want to come to college and major in criminal justice, they'll get 3 credits awarded for criminal justice in the first year seminar. Another program is an accelerated college transition, which is here at Queens Correctional Facility, where a faculty goes in and teaches public speaking. And once that, the students come into the college, they matriculate, we would apply the public speaking to a pathways course. So it can be from any degree. So it gives a latitude more students to come in and apply that course because it's a pathways course. And then most recently, our peace officer training, we're awarding 9 credits toward the criminal justice degree for that CUNY peace officer training. And that's for more law enforcement pipeline for folks who want to move up and go into criminal justice. Education, we are doing, we are awarding 6 credits for the early childhood education toward the CDA, the Child Development Associate. And through that, a student bringing that in, we were able to partner with QS2, which is a CBO that provides the CDA training because of a student who connected us to the student came with the CDA, we awarded the 6 credits. And because of that connection, the student was able to say, I got my training done at QS2. We established a pipeline there. So it always takes a student to create, pave a path for others. So that's been our experience. Our computer programs, we just signed an agreement with Perscolas for their cybersecurity specialist and the IT support specialist. So 3 credits will go into our cybersecurity degree and 3 credits in the computer engineering technology degree. Our memorandum of understanding, which we've had in the past, we started with 12 and now we have over 30 agreements since the advent of the office and having the CPL policy to kind of funnel that. So that's been very good in terms of growing that. So I feel as we're moving through, the work is expanding. And then one of our larger aids to credit pipelines is obviously the clinical health worker to our 9 credits in human services mental health as well as in public community health. So we're getting more students coming out as we're going into those and engaging that population and speaking to alumni. We're seeing more of a yield of having the resources available to talk to those students and able to convert that credential into credits. And then one thing we did do is we did create a portfolio process with our humanities department. This was in particular with our theater program, where we developed a portfolio template that comprised of oral interviews, skills assessment, assignment prompts. Students was awarded 12 credits in the theater degree. So we were able to do this for a student who has over 15 years of experience with theater and dance. And, we don't know if we're going to do this again, but it was a tool that was readily available for, and it made sense for this particular degree program to utilize portfolio based on the experience that the student had. Okay. And then just to give you a sense, this is just general data since we've had the advent of the office, and just the last year, we've had close to almost 1,000, over 900 advisements requested through our office through that inquiry form. And then close to a little over 600 of those assessments were provided. And then a little over like 200 students were awarded CPL. So what we're seeing is hopefully in the future is that as the more inquiries come in and that we're getting things more of a formalized in terms of what's there, that we're going to get a bigger yield, and hopefully that number will keep increasing for us. All right. And I wanted to kind of like end with this video. This is Dr. Julian Koken, our Human Services Program Director from our Community Health Wellness Department at LaGuardia Community College.
My name's Dr. Julian Koken. I'm the Program Director for the Mental Health Human Services Program here at LaGuardia, and I wanted to share a little bit about our experience awarding credits for prior learning to students coming into our program. I think it really is a wonderful way of creating social and economic opportunities for our students, especially many adult returning students who are coming back to the college after having already been in the workforce. And there's a couple different ways that we make that happen with our Human Services program. One way is we have a memo of understanding through ACE, and they have a community health worker program there where students complete a substantive internship as well as training and coursework. It's a pretty rigorous program. And so we have an agreement, students that graduate from the community health worker program and transfer over to the credit-bearing side of the college, majoring in human services. They can take our Intro to Human Services class. They meet with the Credit for Prior Learning office who goes over the students' transcripts, and then they typically get awarded about 9 credits towards their associates in human services. They get to be excused from taking a couple of electives and one of our required classes. And their internship hours get waived because of the internship that they completed on the community health worker program side. And that's been a wonderful way to ease the transition to the college side for a lot of students coming over from ACE. And an added benefit that we've seen is some students have completed community health worker training even outside of LaGuardia. They've gone to other places, and we've been able to evaluate their transcripts and their certification and honor the same memo of understanding here. So I would really encourage faculty from across the college to take this opportunity to evaluate students' work experience, their other types of previous experiences, so that we can acknowledge and build on the skills that they are already bringing onto the college side and kind of ease and speed their progress towards graduation, which is really what we all want to do.
Thank you so much, Marcia. Now we'll move on to Elisa's presentation from Lehman College.
Hi, I'm the Credit for Prior Learning Coordinator at Lehman College. Once again, Elisa Cooper. I would like to start with some information about Lehman College itself, which I feel is important in understanding our work with Credit for Prior Learning and how we engage faculty at the college. It's important to note here that Lehman College is located in the nation's poorest congressional district in the county that ranks second to last in educational attainment in New York State. But it also ranks consistently high in most national rankings for social mobility. So I think that's a very important factor to consider when discussing CPL opportunities at the college and making earning credits more financially attainable for our student population. This brings me to the next area I would like to highlight when discussing Credit for Prior Learning. Who is our Lehman College student? So the average age of the Lehman College student is 27. 90% of our student population come from underrepresented groups, and about 76% of the Lehman College students receive some sort of institutional support. So another important factor to consider when discussing CPL and what our goals are at the college. Next, I'd like to discuss the past and present of CPL at Lehman. So just to give you a little context of CPL prior to my work with the program in 2019. CPL is always something that has been ingrained in our college culture. We have a robust portfolio program that is actually housed in the college's adult degree program. We had a pre-existing framework of CPL that included exams like the CLEP exam, AP, IB credit, military service, just to name a few. Presently at the college, we are working with faculty and staff to award more credit upon entry options for our student and develop opportunities with departments that align with their degree completion. So now that takes us to reimagining CPL at the college. And this is really where I came to work with Credit for Prior Learning at the college. So in 2019, a grant called Race to the Finish Line through the College Completion Innovation Fund was brought to Lehman. And the goal at that time was to use the pre-existing framework for Credit for Prior Learning and target students who were about 3 to 9 credits short from completing their degrees. And this was because of a variety of reasons. Some students were out of financial aid, they couldn't take on any more loans, and some students had already been offered job opportunities and they really didn't see the need to complete their degrees and to sit in the classroom again to finish those final credits, which is really a shame when you think about it. So our work really benefited that specific student population at that time. So then from here, we moved on to defining our institution goals. So basically defining our institution goals came from our work with the Race to the Finish Line initiative and really what we learned from that. So that work was very successful. And while we had a pre-existing framework that existed that allowed a lot of students to graduate, we were able to define specific areas that we needed to identify for more students to complete their degrees. This is really when we started to tap into our work with faculty and specific departments at Lehman. So what did this first look like at Lehman College? So we could move on to the next slide. We reached out to 2 schools that we knew had a need to work with students within their majors who could benefit from alternative credit options, another name we use at Lehman for Credit for Prior Learning experiences. So 2 of those departments were the School of Business, where we learned through our work during Race to the Finish Line that students who were graduating or hoping to graduate with their business degree were short in liberal arts electives. So we definitely thought this would be a great opportunity to partner with the School of Business. Another area was the School of Health Sciences, who were also short in major electives for their degrees. So we really thought that that would be a good starting point to reach out to faculty on creating some new experiences that would align with their goals for their student and also for enhancing our CPL program at the college. So how did we approach our faculty? So again, I'm just going to reinforce something that we have said all along here. Faculty are the expertise in they're the experts in their area. We knew this, we wanted to tap into this. So we developed a system at Lehman that would make sure that we maintain the integrity of the credits, just like those credits that were being awarded in classroom settings. Some of the criteria we proposed to faculty when they would be doing the evaluation of this type of work would be, do they align with their learning outcomes? What documentation is required? Syllabus, transcripts, certifications, and what assessment methods were being used to qualify this work and maintain the integrity of the credits. So from here, we did get sidetracked a little bit and we sort of accidentally stumbled upon our first CPL pilot initiative. So the global pandemic of COVID presented the opportunity to develop this pilot initiative where we saw an immediate need during these uncertain times for students to earn credit. We had a lot of uncertainty, as we all can recall, and students were not sure if they were going to be able to pursue their degrees at this time, if they were going to be financially able to continue pursuing their degrees. So we really wanted to work with students to provide ways that they could be earning credit while taking time to work, take care of their families, and sort things out. So we did approach the School of Health Service Administration to evaluate 3 certifications. One was through the American Red Cross, one was through Johns Hopkins, and one was through our local 99 union. And these certificates were all related to the pandemic. And if students completed the coursework, not only would they be able to earn credit in health education elective, but it would be something that they could put on their resumes while they took a break from pursuing their degree, or in conjunction with them pursuing their degree. It was an extra sort of packaging that made completing their degree, there was a bigger incentive there to do that work. So the School of Health Science Services and Administration, they utilized the criteria that we had established to evaluate these 3 certifications and establish that for health education elective credit, which was great for this general student population, but it also did benefit students within that major who were seeking the elective credit for that major. And again, it was a good way to build a student's resume as well. So word on this initiative quickly spread, and this was definitely the early stages of expanding our CPL at Lehman. Thankfully, this created a broader interest across campus, and the School of Business in particular recognized the value of CPL for their students. So I'd like to now share a testimonial from the School of Business at Lehman College and our work with them. All right. Hello, I'm here with Deirdre Constant, the advising director for the School of Business. Deirdre, along with the department, have been very proactive in working with the Office of Credit for Prior Learning at Lehman College. Deirdre, the School of Business has made significant strides in implementing credit for prior learning programs at Lehman, allowing students to receive academic credit for knowledge and skills gained outside the traditional classroom settings. 2 of our most successful initiatives have been the Coursera certifications, chosen and evaluated by the School of Business, and most recently, the Bloomberg certifications. Can you tell us a little bit about how this partnership came to be and how this work has benefited our students?
Thanks, Alyssa, and I really appreciate being here. Our involvement in Coursera really came out of a necessity. We have 2 majors in accounting, and the BS in accounting requires 60 liberal arts. The BA requires 90. As you know, accounting classes are not liberal arts. They're not classified that way. So we had students who had deficits in liberal arts. And thankfully, we were able to work with your office to vet some courses, and our faculty was involved with that, to vet some courses that would allow students to earn the extra liberal arts they needed. Very frequently, students were going up to graduation. They had everything complete, except they were missing a few credits in liberal arts. So this was really something that we needed and has improved our graduation rate and has reduced stress on students. They don't have to take that extra semester to pick up liberal arts credits. So, but in addition, we were really careful to choose courses that had important content for our students. We didn't want them to take any course. So we have, for instance, one of the ones that is very useful is game theory, which teaches students mathematical modeling, which is actually used especially in predictive financing. So things like that. And we also have a class, a Coursera course in the economics of African history. And that's something that we don't offer enough of. So it allows, we have a large population of African students from West Africa in particular. And so for them, this is an opportunity to learn in a formal way something about their countries. And I think that that has been useful. In terms of the Bloomberg certificate, as you know, Bloomberg is the biggest information technology company in the world. And it took us years to get a lab, a Bloomberg lab at Lehman. It's a very expensive proposition, and it came with many years of work. We want it to be used in the maximum way. We want as many students using the lab as possible. And we require finance students to get the certificates, because if they're going into the finance field, it gives them an advantage, and it is that experiential piece in addition to the theoretical classes. Extremely necessary these days. Having a Bloomberg certificate means that they can research the markets, that they understand the technology used, and that they can communicate that information. So that's a really good thing for our students, but it's also open to other students, because there are math majors who want to go into finance. Yesterday, I spoke to one of our students who's graduated. He was a psychology major, but he's working for JP Morgan. And again, having this, in addition to the theoretical knowledge from their classes, having a very practical application of knowledge has really helped our students to be more competitive in the labor force.
Absolutely.
So that's really where we've come from in the School of Business. We emphasize a good general education. We love the core liberal arts education they receive, then the technical knowledge through their majors, but then also how do you put that into practice? And these other courses have allowed us some of that.
Absolutely. All right, Deirdre, thank you so much. So that is just an example of how word spread and how departments have reached out to our program to sort of fill in those gaps. I'm just going to point out here, these are just a few of the initiatives that we have worked on since around 2020 with the credit for prior learning. So more of that credit upon entry with the case accident credentials. We work with the School of Social Work to provide students 6 credits in social work coursework. Most recently, we worked with the School of Political Science to award political science credit for the students who come in with the NYPD Cadet Academy training. Continuing ed, we are doing a lot of work with them, the Cannabis Workforce Initiative and New York State real estate licensure. Students can now earn credit for that. Learning Recovery is one that I would really like to point out. Their students are taking courses through a platform called CSM Learn. And this has been a wonderful initiative. You know, when students are on dismissal or probation, this is a nice way for them to stay connected to the college and feel like they are still working with us and earning relative coursework for when they hopefully return to the school. I'm going to point out also at the bottom here, we do work with the Advanced Certificate Program, which is a graduate program. And there was a need there for students who were falling short in New York State requirements to receive that certification. So they evaluated HSA Coursera courses to fill that need for their students. So I'm not going to go through all of these, and there are definitely more that we have taken on at Lehman, but just to give you an idea of the work that you could be doing with faculty at your institutions, you might just want to consider these. So most importantly, I'd like to end with something that we've learned at Lehman, which is to invest time and training with faculty partnerships. Definitely work with your faculty to identify these unique learning outcomes relative to their majors that align with industry standards. Consider launching a CPL pilot program and learn from that. Reassess your initiatives. There will be a lot that you will take away from that experience. And also share student feedback. I didn't go into that too much, but I think that is an important thing. Really, this is all student-centered. All of our work with CPL and faculty is for our students. So listen to their stories, share their stories with departments, with faculty, with advising offices. Provide continued support and training for faculty to reassess and evaluate learning experiences, and be open to faculty feedback. Again, I'm going to just reinforce that one more time. They are the experts in their field. So just like we could present them with opportunities and options, what they have to offer is invaluable to the credit for prior learning experience. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Elisa. I will wrap us up here by just sharing some of the ways that we are approaching faculty engagement at the system office. As I think Marcia had mentioned during her presentation, one thing that we have been doing is convening multi-campus CPL evaluation committees to look at specific certifications and learning experiences. The way CUNY's policy is structured, each CUNY college gets to decide what they're awarding CPL credit for and what that CPL credit award looks like. However, bringing faculty together from multiple CUNY colleges to go through the evaluation process together, we think is one really important way of building more trust and reciprocity among colleges in terms of, we would really love to be able to say that any student with this certification could come into any number of CUNY colleges and there is a credit opportunity there. And the way that we're working toward this is through these multi-campus evaluation committees. We've done a few of these, and I wanted to just talk briefly about two of them. One committee that we convened was to evaluate the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. I think it's 49 states out of 50 have a seal of biliteracy. So if this is something you haven't heard of before, I would definitely recommend looking into it for your state. This is a distinction that's earned by high school students, and it becomes a notation on their high school diploma. So they earn it over the course of their high school years, and they complete it their senior year. And it demonstrates that they have a medium-high level of proficiency according to ACTFL standards in English and in at least one other language. So in this case, in New York City, where there are so many people, including high school students who have heritage language skills, people who have grown up in bilingual households, trilingual households, and the fact that across so many CUNY colleges, there's so much diversity of language, and there's so much need across New York City for people who have biliteracy and bilingual skills, thinking about the healthcare sector, education, any number of different government agencies. There are just ample need for people who can truly operate professionally in multiple languages. And so for that reason, it felt very important to us to really look closely at the New York State Seal of Biliteracy to understand what exactly it represents and how the seal aligns with college level learning, so that we could welcome students from New York City high schools who have earned this distinction into CUNY colleges, create opportunities for them to earn credit for that college level learning, and help them understand the opportunities that exist to pursue different kinds of degree programs and career paths that would benefit from where their language skills would be an asset. So in the case of this committee, we brought together faculty representatives from about 8 CUNY colleges, and they represented academic departments ranging from modern languages to linguistics and bilingual education. And the evaluation process was really trying to look very closely at the characteristics of courses that would be best aligned with the Seal of Biliteracy. We work closely with the folks from New York State Department of Education, who actually are the ones who confer the seal, as well as New York City Public Schools Department of Multilingual Learners. And the committee heard directly from students who have earned this distinction, as well as some of those state and city representatives that I had mentioned. And ultimately, the committee's deliverable was a recommended range in the number of credits that might be appropriate to award for the Seal of Biliteracy, and some of the introductory language courses or Common Core courses that could be appropriate. Now, I think one of the things that's really interesting about this particular CPL opportunity is that CUNY's policy includes CLEP exams and AP exams, which are other ways that students can uniformly across the university receive credit for language skills, but the number of languages that those exams are offered in is really small compared to the number of languages that are represented in New York City. So this is an opportunity for anyone from with any language skill that earns this distinction in high school to have hopefully an opportunity to earn credit at CUNY colleges. And this also means that if a student is coming in with a language that that the college doesn't offer, credit in the Common Core, like Gen Ed credit, would be a way that this could be beneficial to them, even if there's not an opportunity for them to get credit in the specific language that they're bringing in. So just some context about this committee and why we think this was a really valuable one for us to approach from a system level. Another committee that we convened this past year was a committee of faculty from about 8 CUNY colleges, again, to look at a handful of tech industry credentials. So we were looking at several CompTIA credentials, as well as Cisco's CCNA certification. And this brought together faculty from computer information systems, engineering and technology, computer science, among others. So these were faculty that were coming in with discipline expertise. And in some cases, there were colleges on the committee that already had equivalencies in place for these certifications, and then some where they had never even thought about it before, or maybe they had thought about it, but they had not been able to accomplish it for various reasons. And through consultation, again, with students who had earned these certifications in the past, industry partners to share some perspective from their angle, and the faculty themselves who have a lot of context and expertise about these certifications. The committee was able to come up with recommendations for the number of credits that would be appropriate for each of these certifications, as well as the characteristics of the courses that would be most appropriately aligned. There were some language within the recommendation about the possible use of challenge exams for instances where the certification content may have covered, part of what's part of a course's syllabi, but not everything that's within that syllabus. And then also some recommendations about curriculum review to determine where modifications or addition of courses would be a potential way of creating pathways. The faculty on the committee felt really strongly that these are certifications that hold value in the labor market. These are skills that that people entering the IT field are expected to have in many cases in different roles. And so not only was it important for us to be able to create pathways for people who are in the workforce who hold these certifications, but also it was a point of reflection that if you don't have courses that align with these certifications, it may be appropriate to consider modifying or adding courses to the department's course catalog that would actually make sure that CUNY students are also coming out of degree programs with these skills and certifications, if that is necessary and appropriate for the career path that they have in mind. So I went back to a couple of the faculty members who had participated on these committees to just get some insights from them about why, how they see the role of faculty in CPL given their experience working on the committees. And I'll say that not very many of the faculty that have participated on this committee have had prior experience with CPL. So there was a learning curve for them, but in many cases, I think they came away with a new appreciation for the value that it can hold for students and the just the critical nature of faculty in this process.
First of all, I think it's important for faculty to just know that this is something that CUNY offers, because I don't know how many schools offer it, but I think it's really great that we do. And then to think about how is it being offered in their disciplines, and then how could it be offered, and then to take action around that.
There's an awareness that needs to happen. So like faculty, they need to understand actually, again, for each discipline, what is the future? Like after the student graduate, what is they have to do to really succeed? Because a lot of times we are so much focused into the academia, just doing the teaching on the theoretical aspect of it, but not a lot. If it's not being thoroughly looked through, it can actually benefit the whole community.
I think it's extremely important because it is us who deal directly with the education of our students. So we know what they need to know. And I think it's only us that can truly evaluate whether the knowledge that a student has when they join CUNY should actually be recognized as credit for prior learning, because it's not as simple as having some sort of credential that has been given elsewhere. We need to make sure that what they have is what they need for them to progress within CUNY.
And just before we wrap up, I'll just share a couple of other ways that we're working to engage faculty. We're really working to create different kinds of tools and templates and to expand expertise and awareness about ways of thinking about credit for prior learning in some of the same ways that faculty are accustomed to thinking about transfer. So thinking about looking at course descriptions and learning outcomes and how those map to the specific learning outcomes and program descriptions of different kinds of non-collegiate learning experiences. CUNY has what's called the Transfer Explorer tool, which allows, it's a public-facing database that allows anyone to search and see how different CUNY courses transfer within the system, and also to see how some external trainings and certifications and that type of thing transfer into any CUNY college as CPL credits. So bringing those kinds of resources to faculty and making sure that they understand those functionalities and those kinds of evaluation tools that we have available is one piece of the way that we're trying to build more buy-in and participation among faculty. As Marcia had mentioned earlier, we also worked with CALE to offer their Assessing Prior Learning workshop to 2 different faculty cohorts, which was a great way of starting to connect with more faculty and just build more awareness and expand their thinking about ways that CPL policy may be applicable to their disciplines and their departments and courses. We've also developed an online self-paced professional development course that's available to all faculty and staff and across CUNY via Blackboard. And this really emphasizes CPL policy at CUNY, as well as some of the national data around equity and student success, as well as details on how the various CPL mechanisms within the policy can be implemented. So those are a few ways. And then lastly, I'll just mention that this year, we are having our first CPL professional development series for faculty. We are hosting a variety of different events that will feature some basic information that would be useful to faculty, as well as some expertise within CUNY, bringing to light some of the work that's happening at CUNY colleges that is exemplary and interesting and innovative, as well as bringing in some expertise from national perspectives. And we're really hoping to continue this series and to grow it. So far, there's been a lot of good interest, and we're finding that this is a nice way to try to bring some new voices and perspectives to faculty across the university. At this point, I think we can wrap up, and our contact information is on the screen here, and I know that I speak for myself and Elisa and Marcia when I say that we would be very happy to hear from any of our colleagues in CPL work across the country who are participating in this week's conference. We are just delighted to be part of this, and we appreciate the network that CAL creates, and please feel free to be in touch at any time, and we look forward to meeting you and working with you.